to our first podcast. It's time to stop and take a breath. Hi, I'm Wendie Klem, and I am a mom of two amazing kids. I married my high school sweetheart, and I'm currently living in Apopka, Florida. I joined Nehemiah Project about 4 years ago. I can't believe it's almost 4 years. Prior to that, I was an entrepreneur for 35 years. Currently, I'm the regional director for North America. Welcome, Debra.
Hey, Wendy and ladies, it's so wonderful to join you today. My name is Debra Schlaht. Currently, I'm the Director of Training and Coaching for Nehemiah Project, but even more than that, I'm a mom. I have two wonderful sons, and I live in Portland, Oregon. And it's exciting to be here. Prior to coming to Nehemiah over 11 years ago, I was a vice president for a bank for more than 20 years. So I understand what that's like to have that daily job and taking care of your family and ensuring that we're lining our faith with the expectations that are on our life. But I'm so excited, Wendy, that everyone has joined us today to take a breath. It's Thursday afternoon. I don't know about you, but sometimes I just need to stop for a moment.
Oh, I completely agree. And I don't know about you ladies, but this has been a long week and I need to stop and take a breath today. I've been so looking forward to this.
About a year and a half ago, Wendy and I, we took a breath. We stopped. Well, it took more than a breath,
Well,
but
too.
we stopped and we got away from our environment. We called it a girls' weekend, and we took off to meet in beautiful Phoenix, actually Scottsdale, Arizona, and we just stopped the race. We just had to stop for a moment. We wanted to look around, and we recognized how life was just really running us. We weren't really taking charge or running our own lives. And this was not within God's plan or what his purpose was for us, what he intended to do. And in that time, we really found out three separate things. The first is, well, first of all, I'm not alone. My dear friend was with me, right? And we
Yeah.
have other people who are not alone that are facing the same kind of thing where we need to stop for a moment and just breathe and take account. The second thing is we don't have to do everything alone. It's a
Amen.
Yeah, wow. We need to allow others to help us. We need to ask for that help and bring them along with us. And the third thing is that we were really intended and meant for more. And how could we do that? How could we fulfill? How did we even know what God wanted for us to be able to do? And so from there, Wendy, that was the starting point. That was the I don't know, the catalyst for women in business and how it began to take shape.
It was such an impactful weekend. And I have to say it is one of those times that you can look back and say, that was a life-changing moment. That was a heart-changing moment. It was a head-changing moment. Um, I have to admit, we even spent a little bit of time on our knees, if I remember correctly. There was a few ahas that took us to our knees and really showed us that we really have to stop letting our lives run us and do it together.
Exactly right. And we really saw that it was an opportunity for us to take stock, take inventory, if you would. How are we looking at our relationships and our health and our careers, our families? How are we serving our community? And those were all big. We didn't start out asking those questions, but by the end of that weekend, we knew that we had some things that we needed to work on.
And one of the things that we realized is we had to start working on us first. And as women, and this is why I love this take a breath, as women, we're so busy taking care of everybody and everything else. But the truth of the matter is if we're empty, if we're done in, then we can't give anything if our tank is empty. So it was such a powerful aha. And I loved how God used that, our getting away, our taking a breath, to really, I'm going to say he kind of gave you a nudge. I don't know, Debra, would you call it a little nudge or a big nudge for that call that came a couple of months later when you called me?
Well, I think it was a big push. I think it was like, okay, girl, get moving. For a long time, I'd had this idea about how to serve women who are in the business community. How can we serve their needs and address them? Sometimes, we get into mixed company, but we don't always address those things that are heavy on our hearts or that seem to block us. And I really wanted to build that kind of a community where it was a safe place, where we could share what was our troubles, but growing our business and fulfilling everything that God has for us, what His intentions were to be for us as women. And so I gave you the call and I said, Wendie, would you like to join me with this? And as you like to say, we linked arms together and we just took off
Absolutely.
down the road together.
And I was all in. I was like, oh, God has been calling me here. I can't. I'm so excited to do this. And then, my brain goes into, how do we do this? Okay, let's start the logistics side of this. And so that's where my brain immediately went. But you know what, Debra? It has been an interesting ride. At the end of last year, I mean, about this time last year, we were having this conversation.
And who knew that we were running head sort of when we talk about a new initiative and beginning it, we all had hope, right? 2020, new vision, clear vision. We were starting something new. We had our plans all laid out, and who knew that COVID-19 would come and the other events that would follow from that. But what I learned from it, Wendie, was this: is that when we are obedient and faithful to follow the call of Christ, that He makes the way open and He makes it straight. And who would have believed that here we are? I don't know, about 8 or 9 months into this offering, and we would see such an incredible network of women coming together that needed this space. And wow, have I been blessed by it?
Oh, I have two. Deborah, when we first started talking, it was so funny. You remember that Estee Lauder commercial, that woman, I'm going to bring home the bacon and fry it up in a pan. And she's dancing around in this, gorgeous dress. And I'm thinking, I don't even want to fry nothing, let alone, I mean, I don't even want to go to the grocery store to buy the bacon. I mean, I don't mind bringing home the money and all of that. But that was just some crazy stuff. Now, some of you ladies may be too young to remember that, but that was a crazy commercial.
Yeah, they can still find it on YouTube. I
I
looked at
know.
it. I looked at it the other day, and I thought, there was a generation of young women who saw that as a model, an example of who we needed to be. Not only could we go out in the workforce and earn our living, and that we would come home and take care of our family, but then we were the seductress woman afterwards. That's exhausting. I don't know how any woman could really live up to that.
I
And
know.
and I think that it really, was harmful. It set an image for us that was not God's image of who a woman is.
Absolutely. And it really kind of also sparked this journey. I love the Proverbs 31 woman. She is amazing. I spent years thinking of Proverbs 31 as a measuring post. I got to measure up. So here I got this crazy woman dancing around on some commercial, spouting all this stuff. And then I've got a Proverbs 31 woman and she's got a, I couldn't even get through like the second verse and I was already excited and overexhausted and wanted to lay down. But one of the things that I've discovered, specifically even over this past year, as we've been talking with women and going through our devotional times, was, wait a minute, that Proverbs 31 is not a measuring post; it's a guidebook. It's a guide. What? Who knew?
I know. When I looked at it, I started looking at her with different eyes, right? I thought
Absolutely.
I cannot keep up with her and I cannot outproduce her, right? Amazing, fearsome woman. But I started looking at it as as you said, a guidebook. This woman was hardworking. I know many hardworking women who juggle many activities in their day. And what they're looking for is how not to be on a teeter totter, trying to go which way is going to go. Am I going to get off balance and fall? But rather, how can I be in alignment with what God, my faith, who I am as a woman, my family, my work, my community? How can I be in a better alignment? This woman has such a fear of God for God. She reveres him and honors him in all that she does.
Yeah.
It's respect for her spouse, and her spouse respects her. I think that's a remarkable achievement, especially as we see around us today how many marriages are in trouble.
Mhm.
She had foresight. She was an encourager. She cared for others in all that she did, and that she was, very wise in how she handled her money. And as you said, as a guidebook, how can I use that as a way for me to follow in how I live out my life?
Absolutely. And so much of our when we began looking at launching the women in business, you remember it was all about really helping her see herself through the lens of God's eyes, not our own. A
Yeah.
few years back, I went and I was at a retreat, and one of the things that they had us do was do this creative writing. And I remember I wrote this poem, and it was my testimony for the first time. But the title was Through God's Eyes. And since
Mm-hmm.
then, he has continued to work in me and encourage me to help others. And so here we are. We launched Women in Business in the middle of, well, at the beginning of a pandemic, actually. We launched it. The pandemic happened, and Debra and I are like, yes, Lord, let's start a Women in Business movement.
Well, and our first step was just really gathering a network of women who could come together, and we really were looking for was this Christ-centered opportunity where we could meet the challenges and needs of other women, that we would be enhancing our relationships not only with our colleagues and our customers, but when we look at our role and our confidence in who we are and how we relate to other people, it's so important. The men in our lives are an important component, and once we're confident in who we are, what our roles are, what we do, we can have a better relationship with each one of them. But I think one of the most important things we looked at was living out our values and being authentic in who we are and not compromising those values that are important to us each day. And the third part of this was growing a kingdom business. So whether we owned a business, we worked in a business, we led a business, it didn't matter. That woman is in the marketplace. How do we do each day that we exemplify Avodah? We work, worship, and serve others for the glory of our.
you know, and as we were talking about this, as we began working with women, another thing that we noticed, probably by looking in the mirror first, I don't know about you, but I kind of saw it in the mirror, that frazzled look, that
Mhm.
I'm a little overwhelmed. They're women, and now I don't know about you ladies out there. If you feel this way, it could just be Debra and I don't know, you may have to let us know here. But right now, all of a sudden we've got women who have kids that they're now homeschooling, businesses that they're running. They're stuck in the house all the time. They're trying to figure out. I mean, who knew they had to figure out how to get toilet paper? I mean, I never saw that one coming. They started having to figure out all of this stuff. And we just got overwhelmed. And there are just some days that it was just so overwhelming. And I know that there were days I would call Debra, and Debra, I would call you in literally, well, there were some days that there was a lot of yelling and screaming going, and some days it started off with tears. It depends on what was going. I don't know about you ladies. Maybe you don't have that happen. Maybe it's just me, but there's some days that all I want to do is yell and scream, stop my feet. I want to be a 2-year-old and throw a temper tantrum, right? And I would come to you and I'm like, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done.
Well, we
What would
hear
you
that.
tell me? What would you tell me? Go ahead, tell them, ladies. Listen to Debra now. What'd you tell me?
I told you to seek God and seek His face and His strength. Let's
Absolutely.
let's have a prayer. All right, you can tell me all of it, but at the end of the day, let's have a prayer and let
Right.
God handle it for you as well. But Wendie, that's an important part because it wasn't just you. I have those days as well, right? And having that trusted friend that we give a space and we allow 3 minutes. 3 minutes, get it off your chest, whatever it may be. The other person goes, yep, yep, oh, that's bad. Okay, now let's pray. And then it's
That's
over
right.
with. Now it's over with. And we move on because we can't continue to hold on to it. It will color everything that we do. I don't know. Wendy, the other day, the dog came in the middle of a Zoom call and jumped in my lap. And I'm kind of like, well, how professional does this look? Or, my mother lives with me and she has just this important thing that she has to tell me, and comes right in the middle of that. We have to be able to make space for it and it's okay.
Yep.
And really by Thursday afternoon, I'm kind of like, okay, I'm really tired. I am tired. I think I need a break. I think I need time to step away and regroup myself. And that's really what we're hoping women will do with this at this time each Thursday.
So tell them what the whole take a breath really means. I mean, okay, so ladies, here again. Debra and I, we said, okay, we're getting ready to do our staff retreat. It's all our strategic planning. Debra and I came together again. We connected for a week. We went to Gatlinburg, Tennessee. We held up in a beautiful condo with whiteboard and post-it notes and every color and type of pen and highlighter that 8 people might be able to need, but Debra and I needed them all. And you know what? We started talking about, okay, now what do we do? How do we serve her? Because here's how we feel. So how do we serve her? So tell them, what is really take a breath? What can they expect in this 30 minutes with us once a week?
Well, first of all, I'm hoping that they're finding humor because we need to have some laughter. We need to break
Amen. Yes.
away. It's a short period of time. Grab your coffee, your tea, whatever it may be, and just sit down for a minute and have some fun. We're going to talk about some of the issues that are facing us, like how do I fix dinner every night or get the laundry done while I'm on a Zoom call, all those things that are happening. But we're going to do it with a sense of laughter and fun. And then we're going to follow it up at the end of it, really just seeking the Lord and His face, His strength, and praying about it because that's who we are, so that we can finish out our week on Friday, get ready for the weekend, and be renewed, restored, and refreshed.
Absolutely. And one of the reasons, ladies, this is a 30-minute podcast. We know you're busy. We didn't want to take a full hour, right? We just wanted to
We don't have
literally.
a full hour.
Oh, right. That's right. Back-to-back Zoom calls. I don't know about anybody else that has back-to-back meetings, but that gets to be challenging. But here's the point. Step out, step away, take your phone, go sit outside, go find a comfortable chair in a quiet place and join us on our podcast each week. We'd love for you to be able to put comments in the chat. We're going to bring in other women who may have figured some stuff out that we haven't. We're going to bring them in to kind of give you some great tips, some great ideas, because, there's so many things that responsibilities that we have. There's so many, I'm going to use that awful B word that you really dislike, Debra. There's so many things that we feel we have to balance, right? Remember she talked about earlier, ladies, that whole teeter-totter thing. Yeah. And that gives me a visual that is terrifying. I just picture myself standing in the center of the teeter-totter. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I'm grace challenged. I'm going to fall flat on my face at some moment, sooner probably rather than later. But we want to bring some solutions together for you, some ideas to maybe look at things differently. But more than that, we just always want to make sure that you know you're not alone. And it's not just Deborah and I who are hanging out with you for 30 minutes on Thursdays. God has never, ever left you, even when it's ugly, when it's beautiful, when it's fun, when it's tragic. He is always there. And He's just waiting for us. He's just waiting.
You know, Wendy, such an important point, because oftentimes, as she said, we don't like the way we look or the way we feel. But, you know, our hope is that you begin to see yourself as God sees you, that God sees each one of us as His divine masterpiece. He put us together, all the components and parts that we have, the things that we like and the things that we don't particularly like, but we're never duplicated. We are a unique, one of a kind person that has been selected by God to be here today, in this moment and in this time. And so, how do we accept that? How do we embrace it? How do we love who we are, inside and out, and be able then to accept it and move ahead and accomplish everything that the Lord has for us? It is one of my heart's wishes, Wendy, that women would not look at themselves and be dissatisfied by what they see, but that they see how God looks at us as His beautiful creation.
And you know, one of my favorite things that you and I get to do in our current jobs is we get to teach identity and destiny, and we get to walk a journey with these women to help them uncover their beautiful mosaic. And I know that for me, and I know you have said the same thing, that's a lot of what has brought us to this place. Because when we uncovered our mosaic, when we discovered how God sees us, it has changed everything. It's changed everything for me. I embrace some of the stuff I used to kind of hold up, saying, "Oh, look, I do this, but I can't do this." You know, I don't have this, and I can't do that. I don't, all those don'ts, and you know, no shouldn't, and all that stuff. But when we begin to really embrace the fact that God has given us exactly what we need, He's made us exactly how He needs us to be. You know, I tell people, you know what? If God needed me to be a size 2, He'd have given me the metabolism to go along with it. But in order to walk out my purpose, He doesn't need me to be a size 2. He needs me to be healthy, but not a size 2. So there's some peace that comes in with really taking off those blinders and really listening to God. And I love that about you and I's relationship, because you know, this is what we want for all of you, is to connect and you know, have linking arms. You know, I love the linking arms, all of us linking arms and saying, okay, so you're feeling a little down. I'll pull you up a little bit. I'm kind of feeling, and so you're going to lift me up. But just to keep turning our faces back to God, turning our faces back to what's really, really important. Work is hard. I'm telling you, being a mom's hard.
Life is hard,
and
we've never been guaranteed an easy time through it. No. But what we can is come together with other believers who uplift us and hold us up, that give us that support when we need it, that little poke in the ribs that says, okay, that's enough crying, get back to work, right? Get up, shake it off. God's with you. He's got His hand with you, and He's going to bring you along. Wendy, I'm going to tell you, one of the most powerful things for me was defining that in identity and destiny, defining my destiny statement. What power that had behind it, that motivates me every morning when I get up, that who do I work for? I work for Nehemiah Project, but my CEO, my boss, that's God. What does He have for me this morning? How do I fulfill what He has designed and created in me? So it's an exciting time, Wendy. I'm really thinking that we're going to be making new friends, new connections, and new acquaintances with women all around the world. And one of the things that we do that through is our life group. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Oh, it's the favorite. Well, I have a lot of favorites. I see, and I've been known to say that people were my favorite that day because they do something wonderful. I get in trouble with that occasionally. When I tell my daughter she's my favorite daughter, she's like, "I'm your only daughter." So, my one of my things that I truly look forward to every week is Friday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have our Women in Business Life group. If you've not participated, if you've not had an opportunity, we encourage you to join us. You can register. We have it's as an event on our life group page, Women in Business Life group on Facebook. You can join us. We actually push it out on Facebook Live because we just feel it's that important to spend that time in growing our relationship with Christ. Debra, we have had, I don't know if you have realized this, but over this year that we've had that, we've reached over 600 women in our life group each week. And we are just so grateful. We are using Pastor Anthony Moore from Carolina Church, his 1 More Minute devotional. It has been amazing. There are some weeks, Debra, I'm like, was he reading my mail? How does he know that that's what I needed this week? But
I think it was God. I think God orchestrated that the alignment of those devotionals for us. He knew what we were going to be needing at this time during our year.
Absolutely. So we spend time in fellowship. We study the Word. We kind of open up and talk with each other. We encourage each other. Sometimes we look deep. Sometimes we just sometimes we just have to make a giggle because somebody's reading our mail. And that's exactly what I'm doing, and I don't want to do that anymore. But in all of it, we are growing together. We are building relationships together.
Yeah, and we have people coming around the world. And what does it tell us? Different cultures, different experiences, but we're all the same. We are all coming together as God's women, and that we can share and support and grow each other up. It's just phenomenal. I've been blessed so much by that.
I know. And we're getting ready we're almost finished with 1 More Minute. We only have a few more weeks left. And so, ladies, we're really excited. We've got a new devotional for next year. I actually started today, Debra, kind of reading ahead, if you will. And the first one was just really powerful today. So I'm excited to dive into that devotional with you, ladies. You'll hear more about it. We're going to save that for a little bit of a surprise a little bit later. But start joining us for our life group. We would love to have you.
Absolutely. And Wendie, as we get ready to close down today, I want to invite your friends, invite your colleagues, your coworkers, your daughters, your nieces, sisters, your mom. Join us for Take a Breath on Thursdays. We'd love just to hear from you and share our experiences and take a time out as we get ready to hear from God and really be able to tackle the rest of our week together. I'm excited about this new venture, Wendie. I think it has great promise in how we can serve another area of need that women have so that they can rest for a moment and take that time out.
Absolutely. But at the end of it all, ladies, we will start with giggling. Sometimes there might even be a few tears, and I cannot guarantee there might even be some raised voices occasionally. However, at the end of the day, here's what we want to leave you with. In 1 Chronicles 16:11, look to the Lord and his strength. Seek his face always. Thank you for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you. We won't be here next week because of Thanksgiving. We hope you all have a wonderful holiday and celebration of thanks. And we will see you again in 2 weeks. Have a blessed day.
Bye, everybody. Thank you for coming.